All right, good morning, folks. So, um, there's my wife across the road. She's trying to get some power steering fluid in her vehicle so she can get on the road this morning. So, the last video I put up, uh, really the feedback I got was that I should talk more about a specific book and go from there. And I just want to point out that I can't even look at the camera. Just thinking about it, thinking about people looking at me, I just feel the judgment, you know, mindsets and everything. But anyways, my first book, the one I currently have on Amazon that's available for ebook, is Asphyxia, and uh, it's just a short story. I'm not looking to be made rich off something that small, and that's fine. Um, Asphyxia, the idea, I didn't even know I was going to write it until October. And I just kind of made it and was like, let's test the waters, throw it out there. And so far, it's the only thing that sold. It sold 4 copies in November, and that was it. And bye, love. Anyways, um, so yeah, about the book, about Asphyxia. It's basically just a background story to set up, because I was thinking the mindset was, how do I explain what this is? This is a different world, it's a different planet, what's going on? So my thought was, let's give a little background. So I started by writing stuff to explain how the world came to be. Like in the Bible, in Genesis 1, it explains God created the heavens and the earth. And it goes through all that. And I was kind of like, well, I feel like I need to do something like that. So I started writing an idea out where some characters from the very first book I've written, called Dragon's Gate, I've got characters who are kind of explaining how the background of the world came to be. But then I created a story behind that, because there's an idea that after I write a bunch of books, they all accumulate to one big futuristic ending, where it's basically about if you're good enough to expand out into the stars and join other people who have been allowed, like other planets that have been allowed to expand out into the stars. Um, it's basically like a battle of, is the world good or is the world evil? And if we awaken this godlike power, it will judge us and choose if we can go beyond or not. And that's kind of the point of the Talos mini-series behind Asphyxia. Asphyxia itself is a story of finding answers that will lead to how the story will flow when it reaches that accumulated end point after I've written so many books. For right now, the Talos miniseries is set up to explain background information of the world or events that took place leading up to certain novels that are being released whenever I release them. In this case, Asphyxia is kind of the background short story that sets up some information you need to know before you read any of my novels. And then I have a sequel to it called Serin. My thought there with Serin is, okay, if in Asphyxia it's like December, and then you go into Serin and it's like January, they went through a month of traveling or something. And with Serin, it's setting up, there's a virus that was created based off a different virus, which is mentioned in Asphyxia, which is the point of Asphyxia. Asphyxia is actually based off a virus, like a supernatural virus created when one of the first dragons actually split its soul, which, I don't want to give too many spoilers on that. You can read about it. But so there's Asphyxia, and then there's the evil dragon that was created by doing that wicked thing, and he created offspring called the Draken. And the Draken, what they do is they mix this bad poison with Asphyxia, and they create a new virus. And this virus creates this plague in Sarin that basically, destroys 90% of the world. And with Sarin, it's about here's a few answers to how Talos might be able to change the events that are happening in his timeline, while also explaining, here's how the monsters were created before you go into my first book series that I plan to release, which is called the Shattered Empire series. After Sarin will come Fractured. Fractured will tell the story of how, like, the background of the villain, how she came to be. And then the first actual book in the series is called Red Kingdoms. And so far, I'm super excited about Fractured. I can't wait to get that into your hands. I can't even wait to just get that up on the market like that. I am so excited with the progress of that book. That'll be my first paperback. That'll be like my first book out there. But I'm not thinking of it as like, yeah, this is my first release book, because it's a prequel. It's just a story before the story. So I'm looking to Red Kingdoms. That's my big one. Red Kingdoms is a story about a prince named Rain who had this tragedy happen to him when he was in his teenage years, and he just hasn't been able to recover because he did something that was very stupid. And then all of a sudden things around him start to fall apart. The people in charge are actually, they're made of clones who have their mind is, it's called a replica fade. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's like they've been cloned so many times, and their brain is, well, basically fractured. So the people in charge are actually messing things up, and they bring back those monsters that are mentioned in Sarin. They bring those monsters back, and they try to change the way that their corner of the world is run and how people are living. And this all happens while Rain is like, I was ready to kill myself, but all of a sudden I got to be a hero. I got to save some people. And that's probably the best basic information I can give about the book right now. As it stands, I have Red Kingdoms already written. I've got to put in some changes. Once Red Kingdoms released, I got to work on the sequel. The sequel's written. It's called Blue Kingdoms. That features one of Rain's friends, actually. And her name is Sierra Sapphire. Her story is basically like, now the monsters are released and they've upgraded, and she's got to find a way to stop them while keeping certain people safe and protected. And then after that, we have Black Kingdoms, which is the third book in that series, which is also already written. That one, it's kind of an all over the place adventure to sort of end the monsters and end any of the points that were built up in the first trilogy that's being set up here. And so that's the first trilogy I want to get out. I have 4 books I want to release after Black Kingdoms. It's Yellow Kingdoms, and then Pink Kingdoms, and then Green Kingdoms, and then finally one that focuses on an opal, which is, the opals are meant to be the governing empire of the series. So, when I said the ones who are fractured, they're the opals. So I feel like this is a lot of info dumping. It's almost a 10-minute long video. Sorry about that. I didn't specifically have anything planned. I figured I'd try to wing it and see what I could come up with off the top of my head. feel free to ask me any questions based off anything I've said. Yes, my hands are freezing, in case anyone's wondering. And yes, my wife is already gone. So, anything else I can think of to say? Serin will be available February 1st. Fractured is aiming for a May release. If there's anything that delays that, then probably at the latest by the end of summer, at the very latest. So sometime between May and August. And Red Kingdoms I hope to have out before the end of the year. So anywhere between June and December, I will be releasing Red Kingdoms, I hope. But it won't be until after I have released Fractured. So I want Asphyxia out, and then Serin, and then Fractured, and then Red Kingdoms. Okay? And then so I wanted to mention Serin, while it is a direct sequel to Asphyxia, background noises, aren't they fun? Anyways, there will be other Talos miniseries to follow Asphyxia. Serin isn't necessarily the direct sequel, it's just the current sequel that's set up now for that series. I could come back and I could say, yeah, something happened in between Asphyxia and Serin, but Serin is mostly just being set up right now to set up Fractured and Red Kingdoms. So I'm very excited about these stories, and that's okay if I don't get, big words out there yet. I'm just a guy trying to make a name, eventually I hope to get there, but here's hoping we get somewhere. Now we're looking at a 12-minute video. Sorry folks, try to cut this short. I don't know what else to say actually at this point. My hand is actually super numb, and it's funny because it's not like there's a lot of snow out here. It's just cold. It's just cold. Basically, so funny fact, I didn't know I was going to write Asphyxia, Serin, or Fractured. I was just like, look, I've shared Red Kingdoms with a few people, and a few people have said, hey, yeah, Red Kingdoms is really good. You should just release it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. And that was my plan. I was just going to release Red Kingdoms. And then it was October. And I was like, look, there's a company here that I can get called Get Covers that will help me make a cover for a price that I can afford. And so I asked them if they could make this cover for Red Kingdoms, and they did. So that's how I got my cover. But then as I was talking to a few people, it was like, yeah, but what about some of the stuff in the background? So it was in October 2022 that I was like, oh, I got to make Asphyxia, to explain the background stuff. Just a short story, send it out there, see what happens. And then it was like, well, okay, but I kind of feel like Asphyxia didn't hit on those points for the background setup for Red Kingdoms. So I created Serin after it. And then after Serin, it was like, okay, so now you got some background stuff, but what about the villain? Right? So I came up with the idea for Fractured. So all of these 3 books before Red Kingdoms, I literally just thought of them and have worked them out as best as I could. I've got someone who's looked over them and has helped me out a lot. I'm not perfect, they're not perfect. There's probably a lot of spelling mistakes, but the one thing about me, I can't explain my situations, but financially things are difficult, and I'm doing the best I can with what I have with my limits. So hopefully what I have is okay, and if it's not, then I promise you folks that I will release better edited versions down the line, better additions to these copies that are updated and fixed. But for now, I gotta sell what I got to hopefully start getting somewhere, because I don't want to spend 5 years in the same spot feeling miserable when it's like, look, you could have put something out there and tried. So I'm trying. This is me trying. This is me doing my best. This video is about 15 minutes in now, so I'm gonna stop it here. Like I said, I'm not very good at making videos. Just trying to. This one is just an off the top of my head one. But if there's any questions, any comments, you can send them to me. Any ideas on what I could do for another video. So if I do make another one, probably be more focused on Seren. But I mean, I feel like I kind of covered talking about all these things right now, so I'm not sure. I'm not likely to watch my videos back to find out this stuff, because that puts more pressure on me and I just can't handle all that anxiety. Like even right now, I'm bouncing on my knees. Anyways, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for taking the time to watch this 16-minute video, and I apologize that it's so long. And I pray that you all have a great day, and please support me as a local creator, as a local author. Right now, Affixia is available for like less than $1, and Seren will also be available for less than $1. I mean, if that's just like $2 you got to spare for someone like me, that would be appreciated, even if you don't even read them. Please help, please support me, and hopefully 5 years down the road I'll have better products out there and good things. So good things, good day. All right, goodbye.